This policeman, Kang Ki-beam, had just bought flowers to celebrate his first wedding anniversary with his beautiful wife waiting at home. As he returned, the sight of the open door raised alarms within him. He hurried inside to ensure everything was all right. Sadly, he found his wife lying on the ground. Before he could react, a masked assailant attacked him from behind. Kang thought of fighting back, but the overwhelming number of enemies made it impossible. It leads to his swift defeat. Tragically, the leader of the mercenaries not only took his wife's life, but also viciously stabbed Kang's eyes, rendering him permanently blind. What was meant to be a joyful celebration turned into the darkest and most sorrowful day of his life. Everything started 2 months ago, when Kang and his team took on the responsibility of safeguarding witnesses of murders committed by the criminal organization Argos. Initially, things ran smoothly, but the situation took a grim turn when armed mercenaries stormed the location, incapacitating all the detectives on duty. Before Kang could intervene, they seized control of the situation. He felt that there was something strange about the house, so he climbed the gate to check. As anticipated, lurking assassins lay in wait. They jump off the roof to attack him. Relying on his combat expertise, Kang swiftly dispatched 2 mercenaries. Unfortunately, the damage was done. The vital witnesses in his team had been abducted and transported to face the ringleader's secretary, Huang Duk-gu. Despite the inspector's desperate pleas for mercy, the man remained resolute. He heartlessly ended the lives of everyone present. With his gruesome task complete, he instructed his henchmen to dispose of the bodies. They were ordered to dump the remains into the lake. Kang's mission ended in failure, with no member of his team surviving the brutal onslaught. Go Young-duk, the mastermind behind it all, secured victory in court due to the absence of crucial witnesses. Once again, leveraging the help of his ruthless secretary, he successfully proclaimed innocence. Disheartened by losing his family and team, Kang attended one of Young-duk's events. Exploding with rage, he landed a powerful punch on the ringleader's face. Though the bodies weren't found, he accused him of the murders. Huang intervened just in time, knocking Kang down and regaining control of the situation. However, for Kang, this marked the start of a new set of problems. Summoned by a panel, he faced rebuke for assaulting a man proven innocent in court. To make matters worse, the assassins attacked him and his wife on his wedding anniversary. In the present day, Kang finds himself hospitalized. Instead of being seen as a victim, he's wrongly labeled as the culprit behind his wife's tragic death. As the media spreads misleading information about him, Kang undergoes surgery. Despite the specialist's efforts, he loses his sight, leaving him devastated and consumed by anger. During his hospital stay, Choi Gun-cheol approaches Kang. He shed light on the lack of evidence linking his wife's murder to Argos. Kang clarifies that Argos had evaded justice once again. He emphasizes that if the witnesses had reached the court, Young-duk could have faced a 20-year sentence. After hearing Kang's account, Gun-cheol hands him an earpiece. He wishes him luck without divulging further details. Kang is subsequently transported to jail, where Gun-cheol manages to establish communication. Gun-cheol can even see him on a large screen. Without revealing his identity, he instructs Kang to learn how to take even strides. Kang is initially skeptical about following his orders. However, realizing he has no other options, he starts to follow the given orders. Kang masters the art of even strides. However, his progress is abruptly interrupted when a guard unleashes pepper spray. It lands Kang in the hospital. Amidst his hospitalization, a sinister turn unfolds as a doctor attempts to administer a lethal injection through his foredrip. Swiftly aided by Gun-cheol, Kang manages to overpower the doctor. He ends his life through suffocation. With Gun-cheol's guidance, Kang feigns a need for the restroom and cunningly escapes his room. Navigating through the hospital using the stairs, he struggles for freedom, but his relief is short-lived as mercenaries dispatched by Argos intercept him, mercilessly knocking him to the ground. As they prepare to deliver a fatal blow, the timely arrival of police officers interrupts the impending danger. A tense struggle ensues, granting Kang a window to escape. However, fate takes a cruel turn as he's struck by an ambulance. It knocks him unconscious. Before the mercenaries can load him into the ambulance, 2 individuals sent by Gun-cheol arrive. They engage in combat with the mercenaries, rescuing Kang from the clutches of danger. Coming to consciousness in an abandoned hospital, Kang finds himself under a doctor's care. It's then that Mr. Gun-cheol reveals his true identity as the police chief commissioner. He unveils their location as a hospital, where Argos has kidnapped the staff. Gun-cheol offers Kang a chance at a new beginning. He'll be declared deceased. In exchange, Kang will undergo artificial eye surgery to regain his sight. However, the condition is that he must collaborate with Gun Cheol to bring down Argos. It's a chance for a rebirth and a mission to bring down the very organization that devastated his life. Kang eagerly agrees to the terms and undergoes the surgery. It is skillfully performed by Dr. Oh with the assistance of his junior colleagues. Remarkably, the procedure is a success, granting Kang the ability to see through his artificial eyes. He is then relocated to the Rugal headquarters, where Gun Cheol has assembled the rest of the team. In this new environment, Kang unexpectedly encounters his colleague, Mina, believed to be lost after the assault by Huang. Mina makes Kang realize that they were once powerless to protect their loved ones, but now they have an opportunity to bring justice to those who took everything from them. On the other side, Huang learns from the head of security that Kang was officially declared dead on the night of the hospital assault. Despite not witnessing the body, the head assures Huang that Kang is no more. During an organizational meeting, Young Duck declares his entry into politics. He further announces his intention to solidify his image by marrying his girlfriend, Yi-won. Meanwhile, Kang confronts Gun Cheol, pleading to be allowed to pursue his wife's killers. However, Gun Cheol rejects his plea, emphasizing the importance of teamwork within Rugal. He insists that Kang needs to adapt to his new eyes and concentrate on his training. Kang turns to his colleague Guang Cheol, seeking guidance on how to earn recognition within Rugal. Guang informs him that he must face two challenges. First, confront Mina, and then, overcome their team leader, Tae-won. Kang engages in a match with Mina, showcasing his expert combat skills to dodge her attacks. However, when she brandishes a knife, it triggers a painful reminder of the incident that cost him his eyes. As he is caught in a moment of vulnerability, Mina seizes the opportunity to strike. She advises him to be strong, as emotions can't hinder their line of work. His training intensifies as he endures punishing blows from Guang's high-impact gloves. This aims to enhance Kang's ability to absorb punches, ultimately improving his offensive capabilities. To fortify his physique, he subjects himself to a barrage of kicks and punches from Mina. During a break in the steam room, Kang encounters the team leader, who remains quiet. Kang is shocked to notice the Argos symbol on his shoulder, leaving Kang with more questions than answers about him. During his match with Tae-won, Kang encounters an issue as his artificial eye starts glitching. Recognizing the problem, Mina steps in to assist, covering Kang's troubled eye with a cloth. Despite this hindrance, Kang utilizes his remaining artificial eye's capability to anticipate the direction of punches in advance. However, despite this advantage, he struggles to withstand Tae-won's powerful and relentless attacks. It leaves him physically drained and exhausted by the end of the match. The following day, Gun briefs the team about their first mission. On Young Duck's wedding day, they will create a disturbance in the organization. Towards the end of the wedding, a huge amount of illegal political donations will be delivered. Gun plans to ambush the scene, steal the money and vanish. If no one finds out who stole the money, they will doubt each other. When they continue to disturb each other, they are bound to make mistakes. Taking advantage of their vulnerability, the team will obtain the evidence they accidentally spill and use it against them. That evening, the team arrives at the hotel where the wedding is held. Kang is ordered to scan everyone in the lobby. Meanwhile, Mina and Tae-won steal a VIP pass and try to take the VIP elevator to get to the basement. However, the elevator is out of order, so first, they get rid of the guards and then think of a way to solve the problem. Meanwhile, Guang hacks the security cameras and turns them off. Tae-won opens the lift and uses his mechanical hand to make his way down with Mina. In the basement, they are confronted by a group of mercenaries. While Tae-won uses his extraordinary combat skills to fight the men, Mina employs two rods to subdue them. Meanwhile, Kang takes a motorcycle from the basement and diverts the attention of other men. It gives Mina and Tae-won a chance to seize the truck full of money. Before Kang can leave, he witnesses his wife's murderer, the head of security, Min Dal-ho, leaving the parking. Seeing his wife's killer in front of his eyes, Kang can't help but begin following him. He was supposed to join the team, but he acts emotionally and stops Dal-ho on the road. The man tries to crush him with his car, but Kang manages to catch him. He begins punching him hard, until he is knocked unconscious by Tae-won. Meanwhile, Young Duck is taking his vows. He has ordered Dal-ho to kill Duk-gu, as he has seen his malicious intent of ruling the ring. As cunning as he is, Duk-gu suspects the incoming attack and easily fights the men. With his powerful punches, he manages to leave the area unharmed. Instead of leaving the hotel, he approaches young Duck as if nothing happened. He tells young Duck that their money truck has been stolen. Infuriated, young Duck doesn't think twice about leaving for his office without guards. It turns out that Duck Gu has already failed the steering and brakes of his car. It seems like the car is now controlled by someone else, as the accelerator is being pressed on its own. Meanwhile, the police block the road, saying there has been an accident ahead. It wasn't an accident but a murder attempt. When young Duck's car crashes, he is wrapped in a body bag by Duck Gu's man. He is then taken to the place where Duck Gu gets rid of his targets, the lake. He also calls Yi-won, who is shocked to see her husband injured. Yi-won has no choice now. Either she dies with young Duck, or kills him, and becomes his successor. Duck Gu's plan is to take benefit from her money. With Yi-won's hand and her consent, he kills young Duck. The next day, a funeral is held for young Duck, marking the tragic end of his life, and the beginning of a darker chapter orchestrated by Duck Gu. After the funeral, Yi-won holds an organization meeting and informs the mid-bosses of her decision. Until they solidify the organization again, she has decided to appoint Duck Gu as the newly appointed vice chairman. Obviously, the mid-bosses aren't happy with a secretary taking the seat of the vice chairman. However, they reluctantly agree when Yi-won reveals plans to share young Duck's assets. They are motivated by the prospect of financial gain, despite their reservations about Duck Gu's ascent to power. As Kang has violated the rules, Gun Cheol turns off his artificial eyes. Kang gets infuriated, asking the chief how he was supposed to let go of the person who killed his wife. Gun Cheol urges Kang to set aside his personal vendetta if he wishes to regain his sight and take down Argos. Unable to contain his frustration, Kang vents his anger at the chief. After a period of confinement, he gradually regains composure. He finds solace in visions of his late wife. He solemnly vows to exact revenge on those who mercilessly took her life. Apologizing for his outburst, Kang requests another opportunity to continue his training. With renewed determination, Kang astounds Mina by holding his breath underwater for 3 minutes and 26 seconds. His newfound endurance allows him to withstand Guang's punches and execute an impressive backflip to free himself. However, he remains no match for Tae Wong, who effortlessly holds him in the air with one arm. Seeking insights into his colleagues, Kang turns to the medical team for more information. They reveal how a gunshot to the head damaged Mina's brain and left her paralyzed. A chip in her brain is installed that manages her blood flow and balance. If the chip is knocked out of place, her blood can flow backwards and her body can become paralyzed. On the other hand, Guang Cheol suffered severe burns from an explosion. Electric current from his artificial organs stimulates his skin, thus preventing further necrosis. If the currents are cut off, the necrosis will keep spreading, and his organs will shut down. That's why they made a wireless battery pack that is easy to carry and charge. He must always have it with him outside. Tae Wong has a metal arm which had to go through several trials and errors. He suffered in the process. What made his arm stronger was his determination and the time he devoted to his training. Mechanically, the arm is perfect, but the tissues connected can suffer great damage if he loses focus. In a practice match later on, Kang faces off against Tae Wong. Each teammate leverages their unique strengths. Tae Wong's mechanical arm delivers powerful punches, while Kang utilizes his artificial eyes to anticipate incoming attacks. The intense match is abruptly stopped by an alert, revealing that a member of Argos has planted a bomb in the police station. The assailant claims responsibility for killing Kang's wife. Though Kang was declared dead, his identity could have been exposed when he was alone last time. Further investigation uncovers that the police lost all information on Argos in a fire, potentially the motive behind the attack. The mention of Kang's name was a ploy to lower their guard. To interrogate the perpetrator, Kang and Guang Cheol swiftly head out. Despite Kang's attempts to extract information, the person only admits to killing his wife with a knife. He refuses to disclose further details. In a shocking turn, he places his thumb against his temple and blows up his brain. Taking the body to an abandoned hospital, Kang has Dr. O examine the wound in the device. Dr. O identifies the device as a transcranial direct current stimulation device, designed to stimulate bodily functions by sending a current through the brain. However, he reveals that the device used by Argos men is a flawed version, and the individual would have died even without the brain explosion. This technology was abandoned during Rugel's early days due to severe side effects. Kang speculates that the kidnapping of the hospital's director, Gu, may be connected to this situation. Argos could be seeking Gu's expertise to develop these devices, indicating a potential link between the two incidents. Rugal comes to the realization that Argos could be orchestrating crimes to obtain this technology for their nefarious objectives. However, the team remains uncertain about the specific individuals within Argos responsible for these actions. To unravel this mystery, Gun Cheol instructs the team to monitor Yuan and the other mid-level bosses closely. The plan involves initiating an internal conflict within Argos, hoping this fight will unveil their intentions. Each team member is assigned to shadow a different mid-level boss. However, Kong receives orders to assist the others temporarily, rather than focusing on a specific boss directly. To create chaos within Argos, Guang and Tae Wong disguise themselves as workers and infiltrate Bong Man-chul's building. They deliver money to his office, while Mina discreetly captures the exchange with her hidden camera. Meanwhile, Kong parks the stolen truck outside Man-chul's building and installs a camera to monitor the unfolding events. While on watch, he notices Yuan's arrival. Following Man-chul's orders, his men attempt to intimidate Yuan. However, Kong intervenes, swiftly taking down each assailant trying to approach her. In gratitude, Yuan shares her contact information and invites Kong to visit her office sometime. Using Chairman Hyun as an intermediary, the Rugal team forwards the convicting photos to Huang, exposing Man-chul's involvement in the theft. Enraged, Huang storms into Man-chul's office, sparking a violent altercation between their respective groups. Huang launches a relentless assault on Man-chul and begins kicking the hell out of him. He then shows him the truck found outside his office. Man-chul denies the allegations, accusing Yuan of framing him and insisting that she did visit his office that day. The entire exchange is captured on the Rugal team's dashcam. Observing Huang's involvement, Tae Wong becomes suspicious. During his time in Argos, he never witnessed Huang assuming a leadership role so swiftly. They all find it peculiar for a secretary to become a vice chairman overnight. Meanwhile, Kong intensifies his training, reaching new levels of strength. During the night, the team tails Argos members who have kidnapped a lawyer. The lawyer had provoked Argos by delving into their activities through an online channel. Just before the henchman can harm the lawyer and his family, the Rugal team intervenes. They successfully subdue the assailants and rescue the endangered family. On the other hand, it is revealed that Duk Gu is behind the abductions and gruesome experiments on individuals. Director Gu is forced to assist him. However, despite their efforts, they haven't succeeded in successfully implanting a single device. In a candid moment in the steam room, Guang queries Tae Wong about his past and how he became part of Rugal. Tae Wong opens up about the tragic event where Argos took the life of his sister. Driven by a need for revenge and to safeguard himself, he transformed into someone entirely different from his former self. On the other front, Kong devises a plan of his own. He persuades Bradley, one of the medical workers, to activate the stimulation device. Following the signals, Kong arrives at a location where the head of security, Min Dalho, awaits him. Upon spotting Duk Gu, Kong starts following him. Rugal team is capturing the events through the recording feature. As Mina hears Duk Gu's voice, she makes a shocking realization. He's the one responsible for her colleague's death and likely behind all the killings, kidnappings, and experiments. When Mina shares this information with Kong, a confrontation ensues. Kong manages to overpower Duk Gu. Ignoring Chief Gun Cheol's order to spare Duk Gu's life, Kong removes his earpiece. He is ready to take revenge on the person who took away his eyes and ordered his wife's murder. In a twist, Duk Gu manages to overpower, but Ki Beam takes control of the situation and holds the gun to his head. Unfazed, Duk Gu seems unafraid of being killed. To prevent Kong from making a rash decision, the chief orders the artificial eyes to be deactivated. It causes Kong severe pain that incapacitates him. Amidst this, a police car arrives, providing an opportunity for Duk Gu to flee the scene effortlessly. Due to his impulsive actions, he finds himself back in the solitary cell. During a practice session, he hears an unexpected voice and briefly glimpses something before it vanishes. It leaves him temporarily paralyzed. Despite the doctors finding no apparent issues, they decide to reset the program. It restores his ability to move. Following the reset, a physical examination reveals that Kang's attributes have significantly improved. In a meeting with the chief, Kong receives a stern warning against any further reckless actions. Despite being willing to submit to the chief's authority, Kong negotiates for freedom within the boundaries of that control. He specifically desires the freedom to foster teamwork. The team has grown closer, evolving from mere colleagues to genuine friends. They spend a memorable night playing snooker under the open sky. However, the pleasant atmosphere takes a turn When Mina receives a message from the chief instructing her to attend a jazz show, Kong and Mina enjoy the performance until Kong spots Min Jun, a member of Argos. Kong reveals that Min Jun specializes in showbiz management, setting him apart from the other members. Simultaneously, Duk-gu orders a jazz singer to retrieve a briefcase from his car. Upon discovering drugs inside, the singer calls for help. As she rushes to seek assistance, she is intercepted by Dal Ho and his men. Guang intervenes to rescue the girl, sparking a brawl between the two groups. Dal Ho's men overpower Guang, locking him and the singer inside their truck. Meanwhile, as the jazz show continues, a group of zombie-like people attack Min Jun. At first, he overpowers them, but Dal Ho hits him from behind, knocking him unconscious. Yuan arrives at the scene excited to watch the show, but when Duk-gu's men show her a document, she's stunned. Min Jun is revealed to be an undercover police officer. Despite Min Jun's attempts to clarify, Duk-gu presents irrefutable evidence of his true identity. In a fit of rage, Duk-gu hands Yuan a saxophone, instructing her to exact revenge on Min Jun for his deception. Meanwhile, as Yuan is engrossed in assaulting Min Jun, Kong is engaged in a battle with the zombie-like attackers. Suddenly, the physical manual control reactivates, causing Kong to lose control once more. Before his assailant can deliver a fatal blow, the device in his brain detonates, eliminating the attacker. Tae Wong arrives, but their discussion is interrupted by a group of Argos operatives. Choosing to confront them alone, Tae Wong engages in combat. Once they eliminate the adversaries, the team departs the building to rescue Guang. As Kong follows Guang's GPS signal, Guang's dormant drone unexpectedly springs to life. Tae Wong takes quick action, launching the drone into the sky. They tail it in hopes of pinpointing Guang's whereabouts. Meanwhile, members of Argos commit a heinous act, fatally injuring the singer by slashing her throat. Although Guang had only a brief encounter with her, her tragic death deeply affects him. Before further harm can be inflicted, the rest of the team arrives in the nick of time to rescue Guang. Swiftly transported to headquarters, Guang undergoes immediate surgery, spearheaded by Dr. Oh and his proficient medical team. The chief and other team members observe through the glass, while Kong stands by Guang for support. Later, Kong learns from Gun Cheol that Min Jun is actually an undercover agent. Since the chief doesn't know what has happened to him, he is worried that Min Jun hasn't contacted him since the brawl. Kong decides to look into the matter, but the chief instructs him to keep this information between them. Using his artificial eye, Kong reviews CCTV footage and discovers Duk-gu's men have abducted Min Jun. While Kong is asleep, he dreams about his former colleagues, whose faces are covered with pop-up information. He wakes up from the nightmare and can't understand what it was about. Meanwhile, Guang informs Mina that he saw dead bodies in the truck. Because he was slightly unconscious, he could not put together the entire scene. During the meeting, the chief informs the team about the recent murders within the organization. It is evident that Argos is breaking apart after losing its leader. They don't have to worry about the mid-bosses, because Duk-gu is already trying to get rid of them. For the time being, the chief decides to go after the evidence Guang Cheol remembered. In the organization meeting, Yuan informs the mid-bosses about Min Jun's deceit and his death. When Man Cheon learns that Duk-gu was the one who found out about the undercover cop, he suspects something fishy. He is now sure that Duk-gu is trying to get rid of them one by one. He and Choi Yong confront Duk-gu and warn him not to mess with them. The argument escalates, causing Choi Yong to take out his gun. Duk-gu remains calm and, in a sudden twist, throws a knife at Choi Yong. He gets injured while Man Cheon falls victim to his gunshot. With an evil smile, Duk-gu orders Dal Ho to save Man Cheon so he can be punished. Both the mid-bosses are taken to Duk-gu's lab, where a stimulation device is injected into Choi Yong's brain. He has only 2 minutes either to let his head explode, or write down the place where they have kept the list of lobbied politicians. At first, Choi Yong denies knowing anything, but suspecting he won't survive, he writes down the name of the place. Meanwhile, Kong decides to plant an informant in Argos. He believes that full-wing members and mid-bosses won't be helpful. He has a plan which will allow them to infiltrate Argos directly. Taking the chief's permission, he begins carrying out his plan. He has arranged a meeting with Yuan, who gave him her phone number earlier. As Kong enters the car, she holds him under her knife, asking what he wants. As she doesn't know him well, she has to make sure he is capable enough to work with her. In a stern way, Kong snatches the knife and throws her onto the seat. Seeing potential in him, Yuan offers him a job. She informs him that she is the leader of Argos and needs protection. She trusts him because he is the first person who helped her without expecting anything in return. It is a great opportunity for Kang to infiltrate Argos, so he accepts the order. Whenever Yuan calls, he has to come, and he will be paid case by case. The deal is made, and Kang is finally appointed as Yuan's guard. When Mina learns about it, she feels jealous. Tae-wong asks if she likes Kang, to which she utters a straight no. Later, the team visits the junkyard where Gwang Cheol was taken. With Gwang's help, the team begins looking for the truck with dead bodies. Using his artificial eyes, Kang scans the area and finally finds the truck, which is now all burnt. With his mechanical hand, Tae-wong pushes away the cars and makes his way into the truck. As Gwang said, there are dead bodies inside. Instead of hiding them, the organization has burned the bodies. The team suspects the organization wanted the cops to see what they had done. On the other hand, a police officer witnesses a man carrying a box. As an elderly citizen opens the abandoned box, she finds a severed head inside. Rugal gets the head, and it turns out to be that of a singer, Jae-han, from the jazz club. It is revealed that the poor guy uploaded a video about what happened on the night of his performance. Bradley examines the head, and reveals that it is only a fake, leaving a possibility that the real Jae-han may still be alive. Meanwhile, the civilians are scared to their very core over these increasing murders. As always, the head of the police department tries to comfort the civilians. Meanwhile, the Rugal team finds the location where the head came from. They come across a room full of frozen dead bodies. Upon further investigation, they find Jae-han in the basement, still alive. As they are inside the room, someone locks the door and drops the inside temperature. While trying to think a way out, Kang remembers that their artificial organs and limbs have the capability to turn into bombs. Tae-wong offers his arm to be used as a bomb. At first, Kang cannot gather the courage to harm his friend, but Tae-wong makes him realize it is their only option to get out alive. Left with no alternative, Kang extracts the artificial arm and begins the transformation process using the embedded chip. Turning it into a bomb, he hurls it at the door, causing an explosion that dislodges the barrier. As they make their way out, they encounter Argos's men. Mina takes on the assailants, and Kang joins in to assist. Kang directs Mina to escort the injured to headquarters, while he remains behind to conduct a thorough investigation of the area. As he fights off the men, the others leave the building to get to the hospital as early as possible. Tae-wong is taken for the surgery, while Kang thinks of his next plan. Using his artificial eyes, he finds some confidential data having information about Duk-gu's secret hideout. Thinking Min-jun might be there, he heads to the place only to be confronted by Duk-gu. Duk-gu tells him how killing someone opened up a whole new world for him. While he continues to speak his mind, he presents Kang with a gift, Min-young, evidently under Duk-jae's control. He offers Kang a choice: either thwart his plans or rescue two captive boys. An electrified green fence stands between Kang and Duk-gu. Kang attempts to break away to save the imprisoned men, but Min-jun obstructs his path. Kang skillfully evades every attack from Min-jun and easily dominates the fight. He keeps punching Min-jun, but the latter doesn't seem to back off. Kang doesn't know what happened to him, but he is not going to have mercy on him as he has to save two lives. The fight starts again. Kang punches Min-jun and then kicks him into the electric laser fence. Because of the electric shock, Min-jun goes unconscious. Meanwhile, Yi-won calls, and Kang gives her the location of Duk-gu's hideout. When she arrives at his location, he shows her Min-young's body, and they talk business. Kang asks whom she wants protection against. Yi-won reveals her plan. She explains that she is Argos's chairwoman, but most people fear Duk-gu. She plans to let them know that in order to survive, they must cling to her. In short, she needs an incident that breathes fear into the organization. Just before he leaves, Kang places a bug in Min-young's pocket to eavesdrop on their future conversation. Meanwhile, he sends a message to his team and orders them to rescue the two men. Mina and Gwang arrive at the location and find the victims in a big cage. As the walls have current in them, Kang gives them a trick to get past the cage. Following his instructions, Gwang holds the cage rods, while Mina kicks the door open. After they successfully enter the cage, Gwang decides to rescue two of them at a time. Mina advises waiting for Kang, as there might be other traps. However, Gwang remains persistent in his decision, fearing they might get stuck like before. As he steps out with one boy, he unfortunately steps on the pressure plate outside. The entire cage collapses behind him, killing the other captive boy. Mina and Gwang Cheol engage in a heated exchange, pointing fingers and blaming each other. Kang intervenes, urging them to set aside their differences and emphasizing the importance of teamwork. He reminds them that they have a bigger challenge ahead, dealing with the formidable Huang. Upon reaching the headquarters, Kang advises them to take a break. Meanwhile, he pays a visit to Taewong. He talks to Dr. Oh, who tells him that Taewong is acting standoffishly because of the agreement he signed. Given his background, he had to sign an agreement to promise his loyalty. While Taewong rests, he experiences haunting dreams of his sister's funeral. A poignant flashback reveals how she cared for him during their childhood, ultimately sacrificing herself to shield him from harm. Leaving the funeral, Taewong discovered his men incapacitated on the ground, confronted by a masked assailant. This assailant reveals that Taewong's sister had informed the police, leading to their betrayal. However, Taewong believed that the police exploited and abandoned her. As they thought Taewong was also involved in tipping off the authorities, the organization decided to eliminate him. In a desperate bid for survival, Taewong defended himself, ultimately managing to stab the assailant. Unbeknownst to him, the assailant had a more painful retaliation in mind. Pulling out a large karambit knife, the assailant ruthlessly severed Taewong's arm. Despite the severe bleeding, Taewong bravely fought off his attackers single-handedly. As the odds turned against him, a mysterious savior armed with a gun arrived on the scene. In a swift and decisive move, this unknown individual, presumably the chief, eliminated all threats, rescuing Taewong from the brink of defeat. Kang visits an unconscious Taewong and manages to hack into his files. He looks over all the details, including his dead parents and sister. Seeing her picture, he remembers that the girl came up to him, urging him to save her brother by arresting him. Under Kang's investigation, Taewong was arrested. Later, with the bug installed on Min Jun's clothes, Kang gets important information. He learns that both Duk-gu and Yi-won killed Young Duck. With the help of another intel and Susan, he learns that there is a reservoir called Argos's place of execution, as it is near the place where Young Duck was killed. Kang decides to visit it. After getting permission from the chief, he and Bradley go to the fishing spot. There, they find a board about scuba diving. Sensing something fishy, Kang visits the place only to find Young Duck lying unconscious. It turns out that he is still alive. Kang opens his phone and messages Duk-gu, who is shocked to receive a message from a dead person. In the meantime, Bradley and Kang makeshift nail guns onto the wheelchair, with the added twist of coating the nails in poison. As Duk-gu shows up, they unleash a barrage of shots, resulting in him sustaining serious injuries. Despite being in a semi-conscious state, Young Duck manages to fire at Duk-gu in response to the attempted murder. Kang considers abandoning the injured Duk-gu at the scene. However, his artificial eyes, now equipped with speech, advise against outright murder due to restrictions. Consequently, Kang resolves to transport Duk-gu to headquarters for assistance. Just then, Min Jun steps in. Kang attempts to shake him off, yet Min Jun appears to have returned with greater power. While they clash, Duk-gu seizes the opportunity and escapes in his car. Kang alerts the rest of the team, who locate Duk-gu's vehicle, but find no trace of him. It turns out that Dal Ho has rescued him. He takes Duk-gu to the lab, where Director Gu treats his wounds. As the poison has infected the skin, it is replaced by an artificial one. Because the internal organs weren't affected, Duk-gu managed to survive. Meanwhile, Kang tells his team how Young Duck might have lived. According to him, the divers took him out of the reservoir, as they saw it as a chance to turn their lives around. They gave him electric shocks to revive him. Like they did to the previous victims, they stole his phone and watch. They couldn't kill him because they thought he would be useful. The group discusses that if they manage to get a statement from Young Duck, they should be able to put both Yi-won and Duk-gu behind the bars. Taewong is infuriated at Kang for sparing Duk-gu's life. While Taewong firmly believes this, Kang, following strict orders, contends that his mission was to arrest rather than terminate Duk-gu. While Kang is sitting in his room, he receives a call from Yi-won. She wants him to kill Duk-gu. To discuss the details in person, she arranges a meeting. They take a walk together, where she talks about a party being thrown at her property. With all the big names gathered in one place, it's the perfect time for Duk-gu to meet an untimely demise, as long as Kang doesn't make a mistake. Meanwhile, as Duk-gu recovers, he orders Dal Ho to kidnap Dr. Oh. Soon, Dr. Oh is kidnapped, and the duty to rescue him falls on Team Rugal. The chief informs the team that Director Gu has somehow escaped the capture. He has called the cops, saying he knows where Dr. Oh was taken. The team promptly heads to the specified location, intensifying their search for Director Gu. Mina discovers him. However, in an unexpected turn of events, Director Gu employs a taser, rendering her unconscious. It was all a plan orchestrated by Duk Gu. Amidst the chaos, Kong senses something awry. Suddenly, his artificial eyes begin to glitch and ultimately shut off. With Bradley's assistance, he successfully regains control of his eyes. Searching for Mina, he discovers her dropped earpiece. Reacting swiftly, he heads towards the nearby building where Duk Gu was holding her captive. Inside, he witnesses Mina enduring brutal torture, causing her to bleed. Determined to save her, Kong takes action. He offers himself as a distraction, allowing Mina an opportunity to escape with her earpiece. Subsequently, the henchmen restrain him at Duk Gu's command, binding him before tossing him into a truck headed for an undisclosed destination. Upon being placed in the truck, Kong swiftly frees himself. It initiates a fierce scuffle. He successfully subdues his captors, rendering them incapacitated. Despite the truck's engine starting, Kong remains inside, intending to discover their destination. Simultaneously, Mina flees from Duk Gu's men. Just as they draw near her, Guang intervenes. Utilizing his formidable high-impact gloves and exceptional combat prowess, he swiftly incapacitates the assailants, coming to Mina's rescue. Meanwhile, Duk Gu discovers from Kang's phone that Yi-Wan has ordered his assassination. Seeking revenge, he confronts Yi-Wan at her property, gripping her by the neck. Yi-Wan boldly accuses him of jealousy over her collaboration with Kong. Despite numerous opportunities, Duk Gu refrained from killing her. It prompts Yi-Wan to deduce that he harbors feelings for her. Caught off guard, Duk Gu hesitates. Before he can escalate the situation, the mid-boss, Mi Ju, intervenes, brandishing a gun. At the same time, trucks carrying Huang Diak Gu's men arrive at a festival. Meanwhile, the men accompanying Kong regain consciousness, seemingly influenced by some injection administered by Director Gu. They engage in a struggle with Kong. Meanwhile, others in their group begin kidnapping festival-goers, causing chaos. Kang's truck arrives near the festival, but he's not alone. Tae Wong appears, coming to his aid just in time. Suddenly, Duk Gu's men mysteriously start burning up, and eventually explode. Tae Wong and Kong narrowly escape the explosion by leaping off the truck. The festival descends into chaos, as people run for their lives amidst the havoc caused by Duk Gu's men. On another front, Mina and Guang team up to fend off the assailants in the festival, utilizing their impressive kicks to eliminate the threats. Kong swiftly joins the fight to support them. As the chaos unfolds, the media arrives to interview the civilians caught in the turmoil. Meanwhile, Duk Gu remains in his office, enjoying the havoc he has orchestrated. Dr. O questions him why he is doing all of this, to which he responds that he is trying to start afresh, but he doesn't explain what he means. It seems like he is trying to make a more organized world of his own upgraded men, even if it comes at a significant cost. Dr. O finds his beliefs ridiculous, but Duk Gu doesn't care. In the steam room, Tae Wong tells Kong how he saved an injured man earlier at the park. He asked the police to take him to the hospital, but the man actually turned out to be a member of Argos disguised as one of the victims. While he was looking away, the man shot 2 police officers. Though it is nothing unusual for Argos, Tae Wong feels hurt getting blind shielded like that. While talking, Kong and Tae Wong confide in one another, with Tae Wong revealing how he joined Rugal to be the polar opposite of what he was earlier. Later, Guang joins them with some snacks, and the trio have a beer and spend some fun time together. Meanwhile, the chief checks on Mina to know about her well-being. He advises her not to act strong, causing Mina to reveal how she decided to live that way. A flashback shows that Gun Cheol met Mina before she was in Rugal. It turns out that her father was working on Rugal's secret experiment when a test subject killed him. As it was an experiment, Gun Cheol decided to do a private funeral. Enraging Mina, she thought that they were doing a private funeral only because her father failed. What angered her even more was that the police wouldn't conduct further investigation in order to keep the project hidden. This was when Mina decided to catch her dad's murderer herself. She became a cop, desperate to find the culprit. She ignored the chief's warnings, which ultimately led to her demise. Then, she vowed in front of the chief that she would never let her emotions sway her again. The chief once again warns her that being this strong can break her, but now Mina isn't afraid of it. Rather than allowing her injuries to hinder her, she's resolute in facing her adversaries head-on and returning to the field. In the midst of it all, Duk Gu initiates another sinister game. His men hang lifeless bodies in the city, displaying a chilling message that reads, "I was killed by the sick murderer Kong." Witnessing this, Kong is deeply affected as the ghosts of his past resurface. Meanwhile, Yi-won watches the news coverage and discovers Kang's true identity as a former police officer, now thrust into the spotlight. Simultaneously, Bradley and Susan work tirelessly to erase information about Kang from online platforms. As Kang faces the unjust portrayal of being a murderer, public opinion turns against the police force. The Commissioner General arranges a meeting with Gun Cheol, expressing his concerns about the mounting pressure on law enforcement. He reveals to Gun Cheol that the DNA reports of the assailants from the recent park incidents show that they are the kidnapped people from the cases the police failed to resolve. Expressing his frustration, the Commissioner General laments the mounting pressure on the police. He asserts that if Kang were still alive, he would have been apprehended, allowing them to close the case. Meanwhile, Kang grapples with the distressing portrayal of him as a murderer. His AI repeatedly shows him the incriminating images in an attempt to preserve the data, worsening Kang's emotional turmoil. Kang tells Bradley his concerns, sharing how his artificial eyes are trying to control his emotions. According to Bradley, it isn't a problem, he can sort it out by resetting the eyes. As the resetting process starts, the data stored in Kang's eyes begins to get deleted. As the information is crucial, he orders his eyes to stop, but it seems like the AI is not taking his command. In a desperate bid to save the data, Kang takes matters into his own hands, forcefully disconnecting the cable to halt the deletion process. Meanwhile, the rest of the team receives orders to stop Duk-gu's men from hanging bodies in the city. Tae-won heads towards an abandoned warehouse, where Man Cheon holds another captive. Intercepting Man Cheon just before he can execute the captive, Tae-won confronts him and battles his henchmen. Once he subdues them, he uses his mechanical hand to seize Man Cheon, hurling him into the ceiling before alerting the authorities about his whereabouts. Upon learning of the situation from Dal-ho, Duk-gu remains unfazed. Despite Man Cheon following his directives, Duk-gu shows no concern about his arrest, claiming it's not his problem. Meanwhile, the media keeps disturbing police. With the pressure continuously building, the police find no way to deal with the situation. During a meeting, the chief discusses with his team how people in political, financial, and legal circles will lend a hand in rescuing Man Cheol. Though Duk-gu might have trapped him, the others in Argos will try to save him. Leading them is Yi-won, so they must keep an eye on her to see what they will do. Moreover, in Man Cheol's absence, his office building will be a battlefield, so they must watch out. While others will do their job, Kang will be on standby as his face has been exposed. As expected, Duk-gu arrives at Man Cheol's building, aiming to access his safety deposit boxes. He enters the room and begins looking for the VIP ones, but to access them, Duk-gu is needed Man Cheol's eye scan. If he tries to open it with someone else's eye, their eyeballs will be burnt with the laser. Amid his failed attempts, Choi-young enters the building. Gwang is pretending to be a janitor there to keep an eye on them. Meanwhile, Tae-won follows Yi-won to a hotel in disguise, and even helps her enter the VIP section when her card doesn't work. The Commissioner General is also in the hotel, and will probably attend a meeting with Yi-won regarding Man Cheol's release. Soon, the meeting starts and Duk-gu is also there. Their conversation is heard by Gun Chel with the help of the bug installed by Tae-won. The chief is shocked to hear that his senior is also in the meeting. He asks Yi-won why they brought a police officer, and made the people lose trust in the police. Yi-won denies the allegations, saying they weren't behind the incidents, and that if she knew who did that, she would teach him a lesson. Amidst the ongoing events, Dr. Oh triggers a blackout within Duk-gu's laboratory, signaling a distress call to Team Rugal. Responding swiftly, the chief dispatches the team on a rescue mission to aid him. Arriving at the designated location, they are met with a disturbing sight: rotting corpses strewn across the floor. The realization dawns upon them that this is the very lab where Duk-gu conducts his experiments on abducted individuals. To locate Dr. Oh, the team divides their efforts. While Gwang discovers another room filled with lifeless bodies, Mina faces off against Duk-gu's men in a fierce encounter. Simultaneously, Kang deals with adversaries blocking his path. Despite an exhaustive search of the building, the team comes up empty-handed, realizing that Dr. Oh may have been relocated after their entry. During their exploration, Gwang stumbles upon a girl, a recent victim, with a chip implanted at the back of her neck. Recognizing the urgency, the team brings her back to headquarters to remove the chip before it takes effect. Mina and Tae-won report to the chief, conveying the inability to locate Dr. Oh. The chief isn't very worried about Dr. Oh, as he believes that Dr. Oh will never cooperate with Duk-gu. And even if he does, he must have a plan. Consequently, he instructs the team to leave Dr. O's case in his hands for the time being. Meanwhile, Kang is extremely worried about his behavior at the lab earlier. The AI took him over for a while, and in that influence, he ruthlessly murdered 2 men and even attacked Taewon. Seeking solace, he roams the streets, unexpectedly encountering Yi-won. She invites him into the car and tells him how Dal-ho is chasing her after she has escaped Duk-gu's capture. He was forcefully trying to take her home. After evading Dal-ho, they share a coffee together. During their conversation, Yi-won queries Kang about his involvement in destroying Duk-gu's lab, to which Kang asserts it wasn't intentional. Kang advises Yi-won to steer clear as she encounters him again. Yi-won seems interested in Kang, as she responds that they are meant to cross paths. She even asks Kang if she can call him if she wants to hear his voice, to which Kang responds that he won't ignore her call. On the other hand, Mi-ju, Man Cheol and Choi Young are talking business while having some drinks. Man Cheol has finally gotten out of the jail because of the deal between Yi-won and Commissioner General. Amid the conversation, they figure out that the unknown men who destroyed Duk-gu's lab business are not after them. They are after Duk-gu. This is when Choi Young tells Man Cheol that Duk-gu tried to access his safety deposit box. Upon learning that Duk-gu is in the same building, Man Cheol confronts him in another room regarding the attempted theft. A skirmish ensues between the two groups, but Min Jun is a tough force on Duk-gu's side. Amid the altercation, Duk-gu holds Man Cheol at gunpoint for the perceived threat. In a surprising turn, Man Cheol, initially warning Duk-gu to stay out of his building, now apologizes for raising his voice. On the other hand, Director Gu seems to have started working with Argos. He shares his video with the media, telling the people how the government approached them regarding creating enhanced human weapons. He negatively portrays the government and the police, saying that they pressured him into joining the experiment. His video has an immediate effect on the civilians as they begin questioning the police. With the pressure building on the police because of Kang, the chief's senior, Mr. V, who was present at the meeting with Duk-gu, orders Gun Cheol to sever Kang from the operation. He considers Kang to be the main problem for the people. After Director Gu's video, another video on the news channel shows a masked man. He tells the people that all the kidnappings, killings, and violent crimes were created by the leaders of the nation, like the police and the government. He further discloses that the man at the center of this scheme is Kang, and he will come out and reveal the truth. However, if he refuses, all the tragedies Argos was accused of masterminding and executing will be reenacted by Argos in person. Kang hears his warnings loud and clear, and with people turning against him, he is getting more upset. He believes that his sacrifice will put an end to Duk-gu's crimes because Duk-gu wants him. He further asks his team if he deserves to be this much hated by the people. Later that night, Kang reflects on the situation and decides to meet Duk-gu as requested. He arrives at an abandoned building where Duk-gu has set up cameras for a confession. Duk-gu taunts Kang about his predicament, but Kang points out that Duk-gu is also facing trouble with his lab exposed. As they converse, Duk-gu instructs his men to bring food for Kang. Initially, Kang's eyes glitch due to jammers, but he soon regains control. Staying calm, he grabs a knife and throws it at Duk-gu's men. Duk-gu, positioned above, relishes the unfolding scene. With remarkable combat skills, Kang effortlessly fends off the men, rendering their punches and kicks ineffective. He anticipates the direction of attacks, evading them with ease. Seeing Kang's extraordinary moves, Duk-gu offers him a job to work for him instead. Being resolute in his mission, Kang refuses as expected. It then dawns on Kang that Duk-gu didn't call him for a confession but to eliminate him. Kang declares that his eyes will capture his grand finale, but Duk-gu doubts this. He believes that the jammers will disrupt his vision. Unbeknownst to Duk-gu, Kang has already initiated the recording. The match begins, and armed with a gun, Duk-gu descends the stairs to confront Kang. Despite the weapon, Kang proves to be more powerful, dodging bullets by bending backwards and leaping over them. Realizing he can't defeat Kang alone, Duk-gu summons his henchmen. Within moments, over 15 men encircle them. Rather than surrender, Kang engages in a fierce battle against the overwhelming odds. Despite his initial resistance, he eventually succumbs to the sheer numbers. Duk-gu, seizing the moment, approaches Kang, gun in hand, ready to end him. Just as he is about to pull the trigger, one of his men intervenes, grabbing the gun and diverting it away from Kang. The unexpected savior turns out to be Min Jun, who has recovered thanks to Dr. O's treatment. Min Jun's unexpected return leaves Duk-gu stunned. In a frantic attempt to shield himself, Duk-gu positions himself behind one of his men, only to discover that the gun is empty. With no other choice, Kang and Min Jun make a quick escape. Duk-gu's men give chase, and the duo disperses in different directions. Min Jun, lacking advanced organs like Kang, confronts 5 men alone and manages to defeat them. However, his triumph is short-lived as he faces Duk-gu, who eventually overpowers him. Knocked to the ground, Min Jun is at Duk-gu's mercy. He ruthlessly shoots Min Jun, leaving him severely injured. Amidst the growing fear, Duk-gu orchestrates another terrifying incident. He commands his men to hijack a bus, planting a bomb on board. Simultaneously, the chief alerts the team about the bus hijacking, prompting an immediate response. The team rushes in and successfully prevents the bus from detonating. Duk-gu's men are subdued, their actions captured on video. Kang's intention is to reveal the truth to the public, showing the other side of the situation. However, amidst these events, the Commissioner General tragically succumbs to poison in his yogurt drink. Kang's video gains rapid popularity, quickly going viral and gaining numerous likes. CCTV footage of the Rugal team surfaces, painting a more favorable image of them, and they earn a new moniker, the Argos Hunters. Seizing the opportunity, Kang records another video, asserting his innocence in his wife's death. He blames Duk-gu for these heinous crimes, aiming to clear his name and expose the true perpetrator. On the other hand, Mina receives Ji-won's call on Kang's number, and learns that she is ready to spill some beans in exchange for some protection. She needs it because Man Cheol tried to kill them on Duk-gu's order, but Choi Yom killed him instead. As Choi Yom has now proclaimed a war, she needs protection. Mina accepts the offer, and soon, the team arrives at the location to save Yi-won. They get rid of the henchmen first and then head inside, only to find Man Cheol's body there. In exchange for helping Yi-won, the team gets to take Man Cheol's body as evidence. Amidst the unfolding events, the team's credibility receives a significant boost from a child whose lawyer, father and entire family were saved by Team Rugal. Using his father's platform, the child records a video, vividly recounting how the masked individuals, aka Team Rugal, came to their aid. His heartfelt testimonial resonates with the public, further enhancing the popularity of Team Rugal and solidifying their positive image in the eyes of the people. In a sinister turn of events, Duk-gu eliminates Director Gu, considering him no longer useful. Subsequently, he compels Dr. Oh to treat Min Jun, intending to exploit him for his nefarious purposes. Demonstrating his cunning, Duk-gu takes an unexpected route by seeking police protection against Kang. Approaching Officer Moonbok, he strikes a deal, offering a confession in exchange for Kang's confrontation. Aware of Team Rugal, Officer Moonbok contacts Kang, revealing Duk-gu's plan. Unfazed, Kang decides to confront Duk-gu. In his typical provocative manner, Duk-gu entices Kang to enter the cell. Once inside, he drops a bombshell, whispering to Kang that his wife, Jean, is still alive. Emotionally overwhelmed by the possibility of his wife being alive, Kang is deeply affected, unable to see past his love for her. Despite suspicion surrounding the situation, his emotional connection clouds his judgment. Duk-gu's relentless provocation lures Kang into his trap, prompting him to embark on a quest to find his supposedly alive wife, Jean. Utilizing the capabilities of his artificial eyes, Kang traces her location to a club. There, the owner asks Kang to choose a girl for himself. However, Jin's image turns out to be a deepfake made by an AI using her face. Soon, the truth unfolds as Kang realizes the deception, and his anger boils over. Infuriated by the manipulation, he unleashes a barrage of punches on the club owner. Simultaneously, Tae-wong arrives on the scene to ensure Kang doesn't act recklessly. However, he is ambushed by Duk-gu's men. Displaying his martial prowess, Tae-wong fends off the attackers. Amid the confrontation, he seizes one of the assailants by the neck, only to discover that the man is his old friend from Argos. Recognizing each other, the friend retreats, allowing Tae-wong to continue his pursuit. He then stops Kang from hurting the club owner. Later, Kang dwells on the fact that he only heard about his wife's death, but never had the chance to confirm it. To ensure its truth, he re-examines the evidence but comes up empty-handed. Collaborating with Kang, Tae-wong attacks Dal-ho and seizes him, aiming to uncover more about that day. Holding Dal-ho at gunpoint, Kang extracts an unexpected revelation. Dal-ho admits he didn't kill Jean, nor did any of his men do that. Upon their arrival at the apartment, they spot someone wearing their organization's mask leaving. This mysterious figure had already slain Jean, and instructed Dal-ho to finish the job by targeting Kang's eyes. When Kang presses for the sender's identity, Dalho speculates it might be Duk-gu, as they were also sent by him. Listening to Dalho's account, Kang confronts Duk-gu, demanding an explanation for sending someone else to kill Jean. Duk-gu denies the accusation, asserting he only dispatched Dalho. To manipulate Kang's emotions, Duk-gu presents a recent video of Jean pleading for Kang's safety. Despite this, Kang remains unsure if the video is another expertly crafted fake, or if his wife might truly be alive. Enraged, he forcibly breaks the cell's lock and seizes Duk-gu by the collar. He issues a menacing threat to extract Jin's whereabouts. At this intense moment, Duk-gu proposes a deal. If Kang releases him from the cell until the following day, he'll reveal where Jean can be found. While Kang delves into the mystery surrounding his wife, Mina heads to Officer Moon Bok for information. According to the case files, there are no signs of forced entry at Kang's home, prompting questions about how Dal gained access without breaking in. Moon Bok explains that this detail contributed to Kang becoming a prime suspect. After their conversation, Moon Bok notifies Chief Gun Cheol about the unfolding situation. The chief appears uneasy upon learning that Rugel's team is delving deeply into Jin's case. A revealing flashback unveils that it was Moon Bok who, under the chief's orders, stabbed Jean. Aiming to protect the couple from Duk-gu, the chief decided to declare Jean deceased. She was covertly taken to the hospital, and there, she discovered through the news reports how Kang was branded a murderer. She sought answers and refused to trust the chief's assurances that everything would be fine. Eventually, she fled the hospital, evading Chief Gun Cheol's attempts to locate her. His plan to safeguard the couple backfired, resulting in Jin's loss despite his intentions. Returning to the present, other criminals, clearly Choi Yon's men, are placed in the adjacent cell to Duk-gu. It becomes apparent they're here to eliminate him. A brawl ensues between them, and Duk-gu skillfully fends off the attackers on his own. Amidst this chaos, Yuan arrives at the police station, seething with anger at Duk-gu for ruining Argos's reputation. When she asks why he is creating this mess, Duk-gu reveals that he wants to control someone, and that someone is Kang. The next day, Moon Bok takes Duk-gu out of the cell for a jail transfer. With no other leads about his wife's whereabouts, Kang decides to agree to Duk-gu's offer. Stopping his bike in front of the police car, he swiftly incapacitates the officers, including Moon Bok. After freeing Duk-gu, he tails his vehicle in pursuit of Jin's location. As anticipated, Duk-gu breaks their deal and attempts to kill Kang once more. Surrounded by a swarm of mercenaries in no time, Kang faces imminent danger, until Tae-wong arrives just in time to aid his friend. After dispatching the assailants, Kang continues the chase and arrives at an abandoned structure. While he searches for Jean, Duk-gu is spiriting her away elsewhere. Eventually, Kang locates Jean, and the two finally reunite, embracing the long-awaited moment. However, tension rises when a phone in Jin's hand rings. Duk-gu warns Kang to stay back, or he'll harm Jean. Snipers positioned across 3 buildings take aim at Jean under Duk-gu's command, trapping Kang once more in a deadly situation. Unbeknownst to him, Gwang and Nina have arrived at the place to knock down the shooters. They both knock the 3 shooters unconscious, causing Duk-gu to escape from the scene. Via an earpiece, he communicates with Jean, threatening her to tell Kang what she has been doing in his absence, talking about all the explicit content. Embarrassed to be seen as the wrong woman in her husband's eyes, she dashes in front of a car, trying to end her life. Tragically, Jean passes away, leaving Kang alone once again. Overwhelmed with stress, Kang's eyes suffer, causing them to burst and leak. When he wakes up, he goes to Chief Gun Cheol and confronts him about ruining his life. The chief accepts responsibility, admitting Jean was under his protection when Kang got locked up. Holding a gun, Kang confronts the chief, questioning if he ordered the harm to his wife and him. The chief's silence speaks volumes, confirming his involvement. Fueled by rage for the ruin of his life, Kang shoots at the chief. However, Tae-wong shields him with his metal arm. Kang persists, prompting a clash with Tae-wong. With a forceful kick, Tae-wong throws Kang out of the room. Gwang escorts the chief to safety, while Tae-wong remains, trying to calm Kang down. Kang's eyes fixate on Tae-wong as a target, making it difficult for Kang to compose himself. Battling his inner thoughts and commands, Kang resists harming Tae-wong, wrestling with the chaos within. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the chief discloses the origin of Rugel, dating back a decade. Sergeant Song, Nina's father, proposed the creation of Rugal to counter the challenges posed by Argos. With regular police manpower falling short, the decision was made to develop robots with enhanced capabilities. It marked the beginning of Project Rugal. The project attracted individuals determined to bring about change, but their resolve couldn't shield them from the harsh reality. Numerous lives were lost in the course of many failed experiments. Mina, Tae-wong, and Gwang's involvement wasn't planned. Witnessing the team's formation, the chief didn't wait but took it upon himself to find an additional member. As they completed the development of artificial eyes, the chief embarked on a search for an individual capable of handling them. This quest led him to Kang, who was noted for his physical prowess, mental stability, and ambition. Faced with the escalating situation involving Young Duck, the chief had to act swiftly. He was unable to seek Kang's permission before making his move to prevent Kang from dying. As the chief unfolds the story, Kang succumbs entirely to the influence of his artificial eyes. Consumed by their power, he confronts Dal Ho, whom he had held captive. The red hue in his eyes marks a shift to his ruthless self. Gripped by this altered state, he violently ends Dal Ho's life with a brutal punch. With Dal Ho disposed of, Kang delves into the search for information about the chief. Within confidential files, he finds a video of the chief conversing with Jean during her recovery. This revelation exposes her new identity and prompts Kang to investigate further. His search reveals a disturbing truth. The police made no efforts to locate her. Armed with her new name, Kang traces her to a hostel. He discovers from the landlord the anguish Jean endured. Crying daily and harboring hope to reunite with someone, Kang himself, devastated by the revelation of his wife's suffering at the hands of the chief, Kang is fueled by fury. Determined, he embarks on a quest to locate the chief and Duk-gu, eventually pinpointing their whereabouts. He tries to access a crucial file related to the chief, but it turns out to be confidential. While Kang heads toward the headquarters, the rest of the Rugal team launches a search for him. Simultaneously, Duk-gu resolves to enhance his body like the capabilities of Team Rugal. To achieve this, he seeks Dr. O's expertise for the necessary upgrades. Mi-ju switches sides, aiding in Yi-won's abduction. Tae-wong locates Duk-gu, yet with the help of his henchmen, Duk-gu escapes. Chief Gun Cheon approaches Officer Moon-bok, disclosing Jin's demise and Kang's discovery of the truth. Learning this worries Moon-bok, since Kang might hold him partly accountable for Jin's fate. As everyone's out, Kang accesses the drive in the headquarters and plays it on the chief's computer. Shockingly, he discovers that Duk-gu was an early subject of the Rugal project, subjected to torment by the chief. Furious that the chief concealed the truth, Kang faces him. He launches an attack with the intent to end the chief for ruining his life. Gwang intervenes, attempting to shield the chief, but it becomes evident that Kang won't listen to anybody. A clash ensues, with Kang overpowering Gwang effortlessly. Just as the situation intensifies, Tae-wong intervenes to stop Kang. A fierce brawl ensues between the two, concluding with Tae-wong cautioning Kang to regain control and stop harming the chief. However, Kang refuses to forgive and forget easily. He confronts Officer Moon-bok, demanding retribution for what was done to Jean. Moon-bok contends he attempted to make Jean grasp the gravity of the situation, but her lack of understanding led to his attack. But it was only to save her life. Realizing the betrayal Jean must have felt being attacked by her husband's closest friend, Kang seizes Moon-bok by the neck. He is prepared to end him. Just before any drastic action, Mina intervenes, brandishing a gun. She discloses that her father, too, fell victim to Duk-gu, who was her father's test subject at the time. She questions Kang's focus on others instead of capturing the true culprit. Suddenly, Kang is gripped by intense head pain. Despite the influence of his eyes, he manages to control his emotions and flees. Now, he sees everyone as a target, and the pain in his head intensifies. This is when Kang suddenly recalls Bradley's advice on fixing his eye issues. To reset everything, they need to reach the root cause, a chip implanted in Kang's neck. Despite his desperation, he struggles to remove it. Influenced by the AI, Kang heads back to headquarters to confront everyone once more. A heated altercation erupts between him and Tae-wong. Tae-wong lands strong punches and kicks, but Kang starts evading his attacks. However, suddenly, instead of moving away from an oncoming strike, Kang stands firm. Tae-wong's mechanical arm hits the back of Kang's neck, causing intense pain. Tae-wong grabs him as he falls, puzzled by his failure to dodge the attack. On the brink of unconsciousness, Kang discloses his desire to wipe Jin's memories so he can forgive the chief. Acting promptly, Tae-woong transports him to headquarters, where Bradley conducts an examination. Kang's mouth bleeds as he has intentionally removed the chip for which he endured the punch. Bradley informs that inserting a new chip is necessary but warns of potential side effects, including the risk of memory loss. The surgery went well, and Kang is in the clear. But there's a twist. His memory is gone. Not even the stored data pops up in his eyes yet. Tae-woong steps in, introducing himself and promising to aid Kang on the memory recovery journey. Together, they explore the headquarters, with Tae-woong attempting to jog Kang's memory. Kang runs into the chief but cannot recount their last encounter. Later on, the chief holds a meeting with a senior advisor, who suggests removing Tae-woong and Kang from Rugal due to their questionable pasts. Things take a sudden turn when the police show up at headquarters, aiming to apprehend the pair. Trusting the chief, Tae-woong decides to surrender, and Kang follows suit. Meanwhile, Duk-gu takes the vial for super strength, and confronts Choi Young and Yi-won, discovering their plot to assassinate him. With newfound strength, Duk-gu engages in a one-man battle, easily overpowering his adversaries. The duo soon realizes that their scheme is doomed. Choi Young meets his end with a broken neck, while Duk-gu seizes Yi-won and takes her captive. On the other hand, Kang suddenly remembers everything. However, he finds himself and Tae-woong under attack by Duk-gu's test subjects while in police custody. They swiftly engage in combat, easily dispatching their assailants. Mina reaches out to Officer Moonbok for assistance. With his aid, Team Rugal orchestrates a successful escape. Moonbok purposely seals the door to block the approaching police force, hoping for Kang's forgiveness in return. In the midst of this, Chief Gun Cheol's superior explodes in fury over Tae-woong and Kang's escape, directing his anger squarely at the chief. On the other hand, Tae-woong is determined to understand the chief's loyalties and the orchestrated attack on the police station. He tries to call him but receives no answer. In the Rugal headquarters, Tae-woong confronts the chief face-to-face about his intentions. Infused with bitterness, the chief declares that those deemed threats to Rugal will face the consequences. He exposes himself as the mastermind behind the plan to eliminate Tae-woong and Kang. Struggling to comprehend, Tae-woong seeks clarity on whether he and Kang pose a genuine threat. As the chief persists in his verdict, Tae-woong, consumed by rage, hurls him against the wall. The revelation that the chief intentionally allowed his arm to be injured by the mercenaries intensifies Tae-woong's fury, pushing him beyond control. Just as Tae-woong is about to strike the chief, two sword-wielding mercenaries lunge at him, swiftly evading their attacks. Tae-woong engages in a fierce battle. He seizes one sword and uses it to dispatch one assailant. Then, he uses his lethal fists to take down the other. Amidst the chaos, Tae-woong confronts the chief, who holds a pistol but struggles to use it. He ultimately falls prey to Tae-woong's capture. Tae-woong is ready to deliver the final blow, but he hesitates. Against his initial impulse, he chooses to spare the chief's life. As he exits the scene, a gunshot pierces the air, revealing that the chief has killed himself. On the other hand, Kang receives a distress message from Yi-won, prompting him to rush to the new lab. There, he successfully frees Yi-won and rescues Dr. Oh. He showcases his formidable combat skills, effortlessly taking down every obstacle in his path. Simultaneously, Duk-gu storms the Rugal headquarters, engaging in a fierce showdown with Gwang. Duk-gu's superior strength allows him to overpower Gwang easily. After rendering Gwang unconscious, Duk-gu transports him to his new lab. In a twisted turn of events, Gwang is injected with a substance that transforms individuals into ruthless killers. Upon regaining consciousness, Gwang turns on the doctors, taking their lives. As Kang continues the rescue mission for Yi-won, he encounters Gwang, now under the influence of the vile substance. A brutal fight ensues between them, with Kang deftly evading Gwang's attacks. Employing a technique Bradley shared, Kang manages to turn off the device by applying force to Gwang's temples. He successfully puts an end to the violent confrontation. Amid the chaos, Mina rushes to rescue Dr. Oh, only to be ambushed by Duk-gu's men. While attempting to save Dr. Oh, Mina sustains a stab wound to the abdomen. Just as things take a dangerous turn, Tae-woong intervenes, shielding Mina from a gunshot aimed at her. He retaliates by using his mechanical arm to toss the assailant to the ground. With Gwang and Mina injured, Dr. Oh takes them to a safer location for immediate medical attention. Meanwhile, Yi-won attempts to flee the danger, but falls into the clutches of Duk-gu. He forcefully pins her against a car, initially displaying intent to harm her. However, it becomes evident that he is still under the influence of the vial. Collecting himself, Duk-gu refrains from harming Yi-won and decides to contemplate her fate later. As Duk-gu prepares for the showdown, Kang is also en route to confront him. Duk-gu injects himself once more for added strength and energy. The climactic confrontation takes place at the Ruble headquarters, where both adversaries are ready to settle their score once and for all. The battle kicks off, with Duk-gu showcasing unbelievable strength fueled by the injection. His powerful kicks and punches repeatedly send Kang crashing to the floor. Although Kang manages to regain control briefly, Duk-gu swiftly overpowers him again. With Kang lying defenseless on the ground, Duk-gu prepares to deliver a fatal blow by placing his foot on him. In a desperate move, Kang seizes a pen from the floor and rises. As Duk-gu launches a barrage of punches, Kang deftly dodges, biding his time for the perfect moment. Seizing the opportunity, he stabs Duk-gu in the jugular with the pen, causing fatal injuries. Duk-gu succumbs to excessive bleeding, collapsing to the floor in the finale of their intense battle. As the police conduct a raid on the new lab, they apprehend the men involved and successfully rescue the victims. Meanwhile, Yi-won emerges victorious in the power struggle, becoming the sole leader of Argos. However, Kang approaches her one day, asserting that she must be held accountable for her wrongdoings. Utilizing her confession captured in one of the audio recordings from installed bugs, Kang contributes to her arrest. Before departing, Yi-won boldly claims influence over the police and their superiors, suggesting she'll easily escape the consequences. In the final moments, Team Ruble shares their last few minutes before bidding each other farewell. Acknowledging his past crimes, Tae-won willingly submits to arrest and prepares to face the consequences. A year later, despite the chief's misjudgment, Nina still feels the absence of the father figure he was to her. Gwang establishes a courier company, and Tae-won joins as one of his employees. Kang, moving forward, opens a private security company, marking the conclusion of the series with the characters embarking on new chapters in their lives.